Good evening, everyone. I hope you are well. Happy Wednesday evening, rather. Thank you for joining me. Sorry for posting the link a little late. Due to the late posting, I was hesitating about maybe moving the prayer to Thursday night. And it's been a really busy week, so I was just like, well, maybe it's just best to move it to Thursday. And I gave it a little thought for a minute or two, and then I was just like, no, I'm going to keep it to tonight. I promised every Wednesday, and I remembered in time. And even though it's been a busy week, I was reminded by a friend of mine that sometimes you have to show up religiously, spiritually, in the midst of everything that's going on. Timing might not be perfect. People might not be joining us because the link didn't go on, and quite rightly so. But then all those who did wait, thinking it's going to be at 7, the link didn't go on, it's going to go out the last minute. And I'm like, well, yeah, I don't want to disappoint those people. But I reflected upon it, and I'm like, it's important to make the time. Sometimes we have to make the time. It just doesn't sometimes flow in, and you're like, oh, okay. And I think that's important. I noticed something today, and I'm not sure how it's going to affect where the teachings are going to go. And I'm not sure exactly if I could articulate it right now. And I think I'm just about to articulate it because it's coming through. And interesting, I use the word coming through because what I saw, what kind of occurred to me this evening is sometimes you have to break through. Break through. Break through the obstacles, break through, oh, I could move it to another day. The breakthrough of doubt, breakthrough of the fog, the breakthrough of hesitation, the breakthrough of, did I say the word obstacles already? Maybe. It's breaking through our past, breaking through our present, breaking through our worries, our doubts, our fears. Moving beyond. But there's sometimes a wall, a force field, a barrier, psychological. Often it's kind of energetic. There's something holding you back, something making you shift in a certain way. And there could be wisdom in that. Or it's something to move past and not to get stuck somewhere. And we have to move forward. I think there's a lot of obstacles out there today. I think there's a lot of fear. I think there's a lot of, and correctly so, And I think there's a lot of economic worries. There's a lot of things, a lot of busyness. And our spiritual practice doesn't mean they're necessarily going to go away, sadly. It can help, and Lord knows I've noticed in my life it sometimes makes it go away, but there's no guarantee that that's exactly what's going to happen. But can we move forward into a more balanced state while going through it with more stability and maybe more wisdom as the best way to navigate it? Not how we would like to navigate it, not how we should navigate it, like from societal or family or what you think we ought to, but what is the best way to navigate it? From some inner knowing, how to find your calm in the storm. Not easy to do at all. But with practice, regular practice, you end up living in that space. And by regular practice, I mean like 4 to 5 times a week practice. It puts you in this space. It's like a sport. I love swimming. You swim once or twice, 3 times a week. Yeah. Twice a week, it's hard to be proficient, even if you know how to do it, because it's not enough to kind of hit that critical mass to really flow. But if you swim 4 or 5 times a week, boy, you become like a fish. And then if you do it a lot, sometimes you could downshift to twice a week as a sort of maintenance. But if you do it once a week, boy, that once a week is painful. It's like that. Something happens to us when we sit down and pray. We sit down to meditate, and we do it regularly. I have to admit, I'm not as regular right now as I should be, and how I would like to be, and how I ought to be. And I feel more turbulence than I otherwise would, the turbulence of life. Makes it interesting, certainly not boring, but it's also painful. Practice, you could turn it on and off and go to that place just like I did when I started, and notice how I hop into a steady place. That's through years of practice. But then, during the day, there's a chop. There's waves, there's currents. And I was reflecting this afternoon on the world a little bit. And I was thinking, I teach a lot of forms of prayer, sitting practice and things. And I've backed off from the mantras. They're there, but I haven't quite really gone into and really did as many practices that I used to in the spring. And they break through. Energy meets energy. You can drop in through space, and I've taught those practices, and I mentioned it last week, I think. But there's something to be said about reciting the sacred names. It's an energy that diffuses, that calms the storm. They're very powerful that way. And it's said that in the most difficult periods, these practices emerge through the recitation of names, not through easier periods of time. There are other practices for those. But when well, I won't say it, but when things get really tough, these practices emerge because they're quite effective and help us get past ourselves, our minds, our blocks, our whatever, and hit a clear space of wisdom and clear seeing and a certain fundamental trust. Capital T. When you hit this space, it's not necessarily a trust in something. You're resting in it. It's like you're resting in a body of water that has a lot of salt in it. And you're floating. And you're trusting that you don't need to do anything to float. No need of swimming or treading water or anything. You're floating in the space and you're calm because you trust it. It holds you. It's a fundamental trust. You know it's just going to hold you. When we break through, we enter a space where we're fundamentally held and we learn to relax there. And that relax and release, we center ourselves and we're able to rest in that equilibrium. And the storms come and go, but we're the fulcrum, we're the center, and we're not swayed. And so I thought, there's only one form of practices that does it the easiest. The sitting in practice and releasing into the space is powerful, takes a little time. But the recitation of names is quicker. And so I thought this evening, do I say what I've just said on Sunday, which I probably will have to repeat? Or do we start tonight? And I felt, at least for me, I would like to recite. But people may always do as they wish. Very powerful practice to sit in stillness and allow the currents to dissolve on their own. I did that for about 5 years before I learned how to recite names. My first master, that was his specialty. It's powerful. And you find stability in that. You drop in. It's beautiful practice. There's both. But there's something particularly with using energy of sacred syllables. It directly confronts our obstacles. Because to sit still and to take the time is sometimes hard. This is active. You're reciting. If you have a prayer beads, you're moving them. you have movement and agitation, and you're directing it in a spiritual way. So you're using the momentum you're having, and by saying the names, you're literally transforming it into something else. And then at the end, you rest in the stillness that you've cultivated. It's a cleansing breath, a cleansing practice. And then you rest in your center. Mind open, heart open, eyes open, ears open, senses open. Open and rest, relax, and great transformation is found there. Entire worlds can shift there. So, why don't we take a moment and maybe light your prayer space and put up the incense? And by the way, thank you for joining me this evening. Sorry for the late notice. And I will put up the names, and I don't know, see, I can't see anything on the chat yet. I just can't see anything. Because I would ask you if you would like me to lead it like more actively, or everybody do their own thing. And I don't, I'm going to have to center and try to see if I can get a sense of what people want to do. So why don't, let's get prepared. Okay. Hey, I feel myself launching into a Sunday-like teaching, and I don't like doing them on the week because not everybody's tuned in. So briefly, I have the sense that people should And I think, do what you feel you need. If you have doubts, you're indecisive, you need wisdom. You need a little flame and heat, a lamp to guide you. Use one of the power names. Yes, I don't think I've given real mantra guidance in that way. I think I've been more passive. Find a name that you would like to use. That works well. But, the ones with multiple names, Abba El Shaddai, Elohim El Shaddai, well, that's a powerful one. Yahweh El Shaddai, well, that's a really big, powerful one. That's wisdom. Yahweh El Shaddai, it's literally the name of God. It's wisdom, power, calling the Father. That breaks through. That really cuts through. It clears powerfully. It's protection. You feel threatened. You're scared. Finances. You need something to come through. These are the powers of the names. Rapha is for healing. Yahweh Rapha. Powerful for healing. Shekhinah Rapha. You see, they're all a little different. So, let me see if I could find one more. Devotion. Elohim Eloheinu. The third column on the top. So if you're feeling a heart of gratitude towards God, devotion, love, supplication, more on the worship side, that's a beautiful name to use. Thinking of a situation that's turbulent, difficult, aggressive, confrontational, violent. Yahweh Shalom. You think of the situation, you place yourself there, and you say that name, Yahweh Shalom, Yahweh Shalom, Yahweh Shalom. You're literally sending peace in that direction of where that is. It does work. It does help. It's an act of compassion, of tikkun, of healing. So the names all have their particular center of focus. And remember, you could use Hashem, Adonai. There's a whole opening of the names. Why I use a particular name, it's because my practice is anchored there. And I believe the name contains extreme blessing. And Lord knows we need all the blessings we can get. So the names always has to be used reverently, in a very sacred way. And you use the power of the name to assist, to heal, to call for wisdom, for the proper things. So this evening, make the practice what you would like it to be. Investigate some of the names. I'm not sure this winter where we're going with our winter retreat thingy that I do every year, kind of go deeper. I ended up teaching last year like a whole cycle of things, and it quickly ended in February. Didn't quite make it to spring, but I feel like there's something here for us. So why don't we get ready? I'm not sure which one I will use yet. And I'll start with that to sort of lead the space. And then you yourselves continue as you wish a little bit. I don't know how long we'll go for tonight, but thank you for joining. Consistency is important. And it's all in the practice. And you find the name that sits well for you. And you find the names that work for different situations. These names have currents to them by exactly what the word means or what it's been used for, the rhythm of the sounds. So they're really tailored for certain things. And as you discover them, you'll end up using the name for what you feel it should be used for. And you will find that it does shift things. It takes a while. You kind of have to plug into the name a little bit. But once you're there, it unlocks, and then you begin to understand what I'm trying to explain. The beginning, you kind of, especially if you're new to this group, there's a lot of teachings I've been posting. You have to find one that sort of starts from the beginning on this. I think it was in beginning February, I went into mantras and the names. And also a year ago, February. I think so. It's something that emerges with repetition, and then you'll see, oh, that's what he was talking about. We really need to move beyond ourselves. We get caught in ourselves, and we can stay there for decades. This gives us a different perspective and realize we were caught in a paradigm, a way of thinking, and we look for a different perspective, a leap, a different way of perceiving, a different way of engaging. A different level of belief, a different level of living. If we're here listening to me, to what I share, we're looking for change. We're looking to grow, we're looking to learn, we're looking for something. And by having a regular practice, and I believe the names are a very powerful way of going about it. I firmly believe we can attain why we're here, listening. Okay. I'm looking over the list to see which one. I'm just gonna use the one that I normally use and feel called to, my normal practice. But maybe this is good to give everybody an opportunity to look over the list a little bit. On the website, it's 3 pages long, but this is the main list of names we use. All right, the one to use just came to me. Perfect. It's one I don't use. Perfect. And what's good is it's a name that I think most people wouldn't mind repeating. Abba El Shaddai. You, so as always, we start with the Shema. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Abba Eloheinu, 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 Abba Eloheinu. Abba Eloheinu, 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 Abba Eloheinu. Let me, I feel maybe I'll provide a little guidance for people. You relax into it. Remember to breathe, exhale, and you just fundamentally relax into the recitation and you don't think about it. You hear the name. In this case, for me, I'm doing Abba Eloheinu. I have never recited that name before. Abba, our God. I've used other names, but not Abba in that formulation. And just to give you an idea of what's possible, I got very calm and I felt the energy in me in a spiral going up through the top of my head. And I felt immense devotion to God. And as I was reciting it, I was literally in the current of the name. And my kundalini rose and my eyes turned to the back of my head because of the flow of energy going upwards. And I saw the whole world bathed in the love of God. And I share that so people have an idea of what's possible and the power of just reciting the names of God. It takes practice. Once you unlock one name and have an ability and a capacity to do it, the other ones follow very quickly. It's the first one to get that skill set. It's like you learn how to ride a bike. It doesn't matter if it's a big bike, a 10 speed, a dirt bike, even a motorcycle. It's still a bike. They have different skills, different ways of going about it. They do different things, but it's still there. And with practice, we can connect to a more still place. Abba Eloheinu takes you to a very still, full place, like a cozy room with nice golden fire. Or like the Aleph picture, very golden, healing held space. And you feel God is pregnant in the space. He's filled in that space. Now, people might have another experience with that name. They might not sense the amount of devotion that comes from that name. But for me, that's what I get from it. And doesn't God need, this world need more devotion to God? Wouldn't this world be a more amazing place? Less crime and violence, more healing. We would be in a better place. When we practice, it's an act of compassion to ourselves, to others, because we're better people, therefore we're better to others. So it's sort of an indirect form of compassion because we're less toxic and maybe wiser or more skillful or whatever. So we better ourselves, therefore our interactions are better. So it's actually a form of compassion to us and others. But also by saying a name such as that, it radiates and it helps heal. So we're not only saying it in our own prayer of devotion, it might kindle someone else's devotion and change their lives. Help them over that hump, that wall, the questioning, to feel with the heart. Devotion is from the heart. You know it. The mantras, all of these mantras are said from the heart. This is why we let go into it. We tap into a divine heart, a divine current, and we trust it to let go and relax and relax, and we can eventually feel the energy that's created through the recitation of the name. And it doesn't have to be out loud. You hear when I stop speaking, but I'm reciting it inside, and my prayer beads are moving. It can be slow or it can be fast. When we do it as a group, we synchronize. And it's gentle. Without expectation. You just do it and then you see what happens. What you feel. I feel calmer. My mind is calmer. I'm trusting the unfolding in my life better. I feel centered and aligned. These are the benefits of reciting the names. It's quick. It's the quickest way. So if you feel called, why don't you recite this one with me? Sort of a group practice. When I've done this in the past, it's a group of a lot of people doing it. Very intense, very powerful. But we're all synchronized through this channel. And start by saying it out loud. And people who are starting, you pretty much have to always kind of say it out loud. But you will find within 5, 10, 15 minutes, your voice will get softer and softer, and then it'll just be a murmur out of your mouth. And at some point, you realize you're reciting it inside of you. And as you relax, you might start feeling energy moving. And it's a clearing. Abba Eloheinu is a very, very gentle mantra. So why don't we do it together? I think it's very beautiful. Devotion, I think, is the most beautiful thing there is. Devotion to God. I think it's truly the most beautiful thing there is. Devotion to God. How can you not lead a good life? Because God is love and compassion, the embodiment of that. And if you're truly devoted to God, then you treat everybody well, because it's an expression of your devotion to God by helping and treating well his fellow children, our fellow brothers and sisters. It's devotion expressed. But just taking a moment and expressing our devotion. And even if we don't feel the devotion or we're questioning, that's okay. But here we suspend that and we just say the name and allow the name to resolve that. Allow the frequency to resolve that. Not through our minds or blah blah blah. Oh Lord, analyzing what it could or could not be. We allow the frequency. In the frequency we find resolve. In the name we find resolve. We just feel it. And we know. And it feels like we've come home. So let's do that together. And if you wish to do your own, that's perfectly fine. You might want to lower the volume because I'm going to go there. Stretching a little bit. And as you recite it for a while, if you have the capacity, you emanate that vibration out into the group and out into the world. Many people want to believe in something bigger than themselves, hopefully. A meaning of life, purpose. It brings peace, great peace. So, let us together. Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu. Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu. Relax, breathe, exhale, let go. Just remember you could move your prayer beads faster than than the speed that you're reciting. Remember, we're not counting the numbers. I actually move my prayer beads much faster than I'm able to say the name. It's not the speed that you say the name, it's the right speed for you where you feel it's the right speed. So you don't have to necessarily articulate every syllable. It can become faster or at the right flow for you at that moment, or you do one name for one bead and that feels right for you at the moment. But often when one recites, you get into the rhythm of the name. And so you just allow your fingers and the beads to move at the speed of whatever rhythm that fits you in that sort of pocket. You just allow your hands to do what they may, and you allow the recitation to do what it does. And you try to sit in the awareness of what manifests from that. The beads help ground you, gives you something tactile to feel, to help anchor your mind from drifting away. And you also just say the name. Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu, Abba Eloheinu. So allow the energy to emanate out to the whole group. And out into the world. Just see the planet Earth like as if you're in orbit above it, that you can see it just by glancing the whole planet, and you just imagine that the mantra, the name, just is all around it. It's as simple as that. In that sense, the energy through the whole planet. So you just visualize the planet Earth from space and you say the name. It's that simple, literally. Okay. I hope. Well, thank you for this practice. It's been one of the more powerful ones I've had quite in a while. And I hope you found it beautiful. This heals us, our hearts, our world. It heals our body and our chakras. It balances our sephirots. It activates our third eye. Mine is tingling. Rises our energy up through our crown. There are many ways we could live on this planet. Survival, aggressive, predatorial, compassionate, intelligent, loving, with purpose, without purpose, knowledge of where we're going afterwards, or a sense that there is no afterwards. By doing practices such as these, it helps us to live from a better, higher place. And that place has fewer questions, but a much greater knowing. And I hope that Adonai blesses us all and our families. And I wish you all a wonderful remainder of your week. And see you all Sunday. And thank you for blessing me and each other for your presence tonight. It was deeply felt. Thank you